What is up, guys? Silver Warrior here, and today I'm just gonna be doing a quick live video with you guys. Probably not gonna be that quick because we all know what happens when I say anything's gonna be a quick video. But basically, what I wanted to discuss in this video with you guys is just kind of like a community discussion, really, on what your guys' thoughts are on what the future silver prices are gonna be, and just the future of silver in general. So I'm just gonna let some people get into this, and then we'll start to get into the discussion. Because obviously, if I'm gonna be discussing what I think on it, then I'm gonna, have to let a couple guys get in here before we can do that. But in the meantime, I'll let some people get in, obviously, and then we can start this discussion. So I honestly don't know how many viewers are right now. It says there's only one. I don't know if that's true or not because YouTube is kind of slow with updating everything. So if you're here and you want to discuss, then drop a comment, say what's up, and we can get this discussion rolling. But yeah, so the future of silver and just my thoughts on it, honestly, it really depends on how long you look at, but like usually when I think about the future of silver, I think about like, what'll it do in the next 10 years type of thing. What's up, Coin Searcher 1964? What's going, man? And if you don't already know, we're just discussing, the future, what our thoughts on the future of silver is going to be. So drop a comment and let me know what you think. But, when I really do think about the future of silver and its prices and everything, I'm not one of those people that really sees what a lot of other people see, in that, an economic collapse is definitely going to happen in the next couple of years, and silver price is going to be like skyrocketing and all that stuff. I just really don't see that happening personally. I do think that it's possible that there will be economic trouble. I do think it's possible that a second Great Depression could happen, or even an economic collapse, maybe. However, I don't really, don't really think that it's going to be quite as extreme as other people think. And yeah, I definitely think that over time prices are going to go up. I mean, prices are guaranteed to go up as inflation goes up. I don't know if the country's going to be completely just like destroyed, but I do think that we can definitely expect to see price increases as time goes on. But just silver in general, like the future of silver, I really do think that it has a very bright future. As silver becomes more and more of a promising investment, I think really a lot of people are going to start to jump on it, even more so than now. And I really think that's going to replace even gold as like primary metals investment. I don't think it's ever going to be more valuable. I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. If you're asking me how much the United States is in debt, I know it's a ridiculous amount. I think it's around 20 trillion that the United States is in debt right now. So yeah, definitely has the highest debt of any country by far. If that's what you're asking me, and if not, then I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. But to continue on with what I was saying here, in that I do definitely think that silver is never going to be as valuable as gold, but I do think we're going to see the ratio start to close as time goes on, as more and more people expose the silver to gold true ratio. Yeah, the dollar in the United States is definitely very worthless. I think it's just because of the fact that it's so intangible, other than the fact that the dollar itself is the only thing that is there. Like whatever bill you have, you can hold in your hand. That's the only thing that you have. There's nothing behind the dollar driving it forward to value it. So I definitely agree that the dollar is really worthless. Yeah, exactly. Really, we don't have any precious metals actually backing up our currency. Even if the United States is holding on to precious metals, we're not using them for that. Really, I think the United States and any other country with precious metals is using them to manipulate currency. Especially countries like China, of course, are doing that very much so. And I think the United States definitely does it as well, but they don't use it to back up their own currency, which is really big mistake, I think, personally. I really do believe that if silver and gold were to begin backing up our currency again, that things could be a lot different. I don't think it would save our economy. I'm not like one of those people that's like, that's like the thing that completely destroyed the economy. What's up, man? What do you think on this whole, future of silver? Let me know. But, I really don't think that that would be like the one saving grace that makes or breaks the economy. But at the same time, I do think it could definitely help it. This is really bright, so I'm going to put it. There we go. It's a little bit better. Yeah. But really do think that it would definitely help overall with the economy. And I mean, that's really kind of like difficult because you think about it, a lot of people think, well, eventually China is going to want to come and get the money that we owe them. But at the same time, the amount of money that China makes from trading with us is kind of, it's enough money where China is kind of in a position where they really don't want to start, not necessarily a war, but start a conflict with a country like the United States. And I really don't know how soon China would do that. Of course, when you're in debt to anybody, eventually they're going to want to come and reclaim that. But it's been going on for so long, I don't see China doing anything about it anytime soon. Now, if the United States were to start to have aggressive policies towards other countries, or try to start to close off trade with other countries like China, and I'm not saying completely stop it, but raise tariffs, make trade harder, things of that nature with countries like China, then I could definitely see that being a possibility. But the way things stand now, I really don't see that being too much of a worry. I would worry about some of the other conflicts going on right now, but with China, I really just don't see that happening just because China knows that they're making a lot of money off of us right now, and China still wants to buy Alaska from us too. So that's another thing, is that they really want to acquire Alaska, and if they were to try to come and do anything in the United States, then obviously that'd make us even less likely to sell it. Not that we're going to anyway, because we have people living there for one, and for two, we can make so much more money than what they offer. So would I consider selling some of my coins? Of course. I mean, everything you can see right here is for sale, technically, but if you really want to, buy anything, then the best way to do that would just be contact me through Instagram. So anyone who's interested, my Instagram is just silver_warrior. So yeah, if you're interested in buying any silver, then go and DM me. And if you don't have Instagram, then we can figure something else out, of course. But if you do, then that would be the best way to do it, I think. But to get back on with this, so what I was saying before with the whole future of silver thing, and everything I was saying before was basically, I just don't see silver, basically coming to the rescue. And, once the economy collapses, I will say what again, my Instagram handle? Because my Instagram name is just silver, 2 underscores, and then warrior, if that's what you're asking. Yeah, it's just silver double underscore warrior. But anyway, excuse me, but I just don't see that whole thing. And the other thing that's a really big thing is that even if an economic collapse were to happen, which I'm not saying it's impossible by any means, it is very much so possible. All right, we'll see ya. Thanks for tuning in for a little bit. I appreciate that. If you want to give your thoughts on the future of silver, then please do let me know, or please say them, share them with everybody. And if not, then that's cool. But anyway, I really just don't think that even if an economic collapse were to happen, that the first thing that everybody would worry about is precious metals. I think that a few percent of the population, such as ourselves, would be worried about them. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I appreciate that, following me. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to have silver and other precious metals in an economic collapse, because it's not by any means. But at the same time, in a scenario like that, silver is not going to be the most important thing for an economic collapse. So I really don't think that in that situation, it would have as high of a value immediately as everyone seems to think, because it would take a very long time before it became a universally accepted currency. And even coins like this wouldn't be accepted because of the fact that not everybody can memorize their exact weights and know exactly, what's what with them. So that's definitely something to consider. You'd want to really just have bullion. And I guess fractional, which I hate saying to invest in fractional because fractional is such a bad investment. And I personally think that some people would recognize this, and I think the people that would be thriving would be the ones that would be recognizing this U.S. coinage. But I can understand the point where people say, well, wait a minute, not everyone's going to know. And I definitely don't think everyone's going to know the exact weights of the coins. I do think a lot of people know that older U.S. coins are silver. But at the same time, I don't think that everybody would know, so that would make it a little bit harder. What's up, cable guy? So yeah, if you don't know, I'm just discussing my thoughts on the future of silver. So let me know yours in the comments, and how much I pay for 90%. To answer the other question, is it really depends. I usually don't like to pay much over melt, if at all. So in the next 10 years, you're saying, I think 2025 USD an ounce. Some Nintendo Switches. Well, you're saying that as if you bought multiple. So do you have the idea of flipping them? Like, did you buy multiple of them as gifts, or are you actually trying to sell them? But 20 to 25 an ounce is very moderate estimate, and I think that it'll be worth. Okay, yeah, it makes sense if you're gonna flip them. But I think 20 to 25 an ounce in current value of our currency makes sense. But I think that if you calculate with inflation, it'll be a little bit more. But I think if you translate it to about what it's worth right now, I think it'd be worth around 25 an ounce in our current U.S. currency. So it might be look something like 30 or 35 an ounce with inflation added onto that. Morgan dollars, yeah, I like them a lot too. Yeah, numismatics definitely is a whole nother ballgame. I'm just talking about silver itself, like the investment of silver. But yeah, numismatics, there's so many of them that are going to be jumping up in value, and some that are going to be losing a lot of value too. It really is a constant changing thing when it comes to numismatics. But yeah, I definitely do agree though that silver is probably not going to just jump through the roof. A couple years ago I did my video on my thoughts for silver in the next 10 years, and even that I think was a bit extreme. I really just don't think that it's very easy for silver to maintain anything like even like $50 an ounce for a very long period of time, because usually the thing you'll notice is that when silver any investment really is that high, it's usually in a bubble, and the bubble will always pop. Okay, it's something that everybody knows, is that basically when a bubble forms around a certain commodity, they are always doomed to pop, and that's especially true with precious metals, because you'll see they'll go up so much in value. Sometimes 400, maybe even 5. Right, so I'm very sorry about that glitch from YouTube right there. It just completely just stopped the stream. I see a bunch of people left because of it too. Semi-numismatics. Oh yeah, the milk spotting thing is ridiculous. Definitely agree. I actually have a coin I can pull out that's kills me to look at. Yeah. My God, I'm completely having so many technical issues right now. But yeah, I'd recommend silver over gold as well at the moment. And just in general, usually I think silver will outperform gold in most years. But this coin is, when we're talking about milk spots, the back of it has a little bit of it around the rims. At the front of it, this thing kills me to look at, this milk spotting. It's an MS70, so such a nice high grade coin. and that milk spotting, it's not making it worthless. It's not back to spot quite, but that definitely hurts me to look at that, because that is otherwise a very flawless coin. That milk spotting is very painful in there. I didn't buy it like that, but I think the milk spotting's gotten a little bit worse since I had it. Yeah, exactly. With the graded coins, and it's very, very hard to clean those off. There's very few people in this community that can successfully do that, where they can pull the coin out of the holder and then clean it for you. Wow, so you got them with milk spots? Yeah, honestly, that is ridiculous if Amex sent you 10 Eagles, even whether they're BU Eagles or greater or whatever. They sent you the milk spot, and that's absolutely ridiculous. And I'm not saying to respond to you, cable guy, that you shouldn't necessarily buy gold, but rather it's just, I think that you should put a lot more of money into silver than you do into gold, because silver, everyone will talk about the whole ratio thing, and the ratio between silver and gold is ridiculous compared to how much exists. The cost to availability ratio, and that's not even the biggest thing I'm talking about, because that might not even change for the next 20 or 30 years. But the biggest thing is that silver simply, I think there's a lot more money to be made in right now than gold, because there's a lot more silver coins to be had for spot than gold coins, for one. So these type of coins that are almost semi-numismatic, and the ones that we could see in 10 years going up a lot in value. And for two, it simply is an easier way to store your wealth, not in terms of course, how much space it takes up and being compact, but it's rather you can see your wealth a little bit more with silver. And what I'm saying is that you can put $1,000-something into gold and have an ounce of it. You put that into silver, you have 75 ounces. So it's a lot easier to see your savings build up with silver, and unless you have a lot of money, it's very hard to not have to buy fractional gold. Most people, they'll have to buy 10th ounce increments. So that's also a very difficult thing. And that 10th ounce could also be a 5-ounce bar and a couple 1-ounce bars. Or if you save, for a couple months, you could be having 3 5-ounce bars or a couple 10th ounces of gold, right? And the premiums you're going to have to pay on the gold, of course, is going to be outrageous because it's fractional. And man, don't look at it like you're being poor, because that's not a very good mindset to have when it comes to anything. Because if you're trying to better yourself by investing in silver, no matter how old you are, no matter what financial status you are, financial state, whatever that you're in, it doesn't matter, because you are, basically making a better life for yourself, and you're smarter than most people because you're getting into silver, and you have more real money than most people do. A guy can have $100,000 in intangible currency, and if they don't have any silver, then you have more money than. So YouTube's being terrible, as usual, of course. So very sorry about that. I guess my connection's also bad, maybe too. I don't know what it is, but YouTube streaming is not very good at all when you're doing it the way I am. And, well, you have no money. Do you have silver, though? Like, do you have any silver at all, man? Because I think before we were talking about it, you said you did have a little bit of silver and stuff that you managed to buy. So you don't not have any money then, if you have silver. So yeah, if you have silver, then you have money. 14 ounces silver, that makes you wealthier in actual silver than probably 98-99% of the population right now. 14 ounces of silver is more than most people have, trust me. And that's more real money than most people have, especially. Alright, Coin Searcher, as soon as I'm done streaming, I'll go and check out your message. Yeah, so you have 14 ounces, you have Numismatics, which of course are bump up the value even more, but I'm just talking actual silver. That silver is more than most people have. Most people can't say they have 14 ounces in real money. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You're not broke if you have silver. You're saying you have no money at all, but you have that silver. That is money. You could have $1,000 and you still would have no money at all if you didn't have any silver. Really, you'd have currency, but you wouldn't have any money. But if you have that silver, you do have money, man. And don't look at it as being poor. Look at it as, you're spending your currency wisely on silver, right? So yeah, well, 10-ounce Queen's Beast is a very nice piece to have. So, yeah, exactly. Cable guy, if you are 14, then you're starting very young. I started very young myself, and so I know that it's very tough, being a younger guy, but you just got to keep going at it. And I appreciate it, Scott, you know, because it really was, working for this. I mean, this is not the biggest this pile's been because I did sell some of it off and traded it for some higher, nicer pieces. But at the same time, or not even at the same time, I don't even mean to say that, but I do appreciate everything. And yeah, cable guy, just do remember that I'm not trying to be mean at all or anything. I'm not even trying to correct you. I'm just trying to inspire you to remember that you do have money and you do have a very bright future ahead of you. And if you're going to a coin show tomorrow and you have $1,000 to spend, it really depends on what are you interested in. I can't tell you what to buy unless I know what you're interested in. At least I'm getting really off topic here. This is future silver and stuff. That's true, but you're 14, so you have parents that will do that for you right now, man. So don't even worry about that. You have someone putting a roof over your head. You just worry about getting that silver saved up. That's really all you got to worry about, man. To be honest with you, just, until you're an adult with a regular job, you're not going to have to worry about that. And if you're interested in 90%, man, you got $1,000 to spend on a coin show. Well, if you're interested in 90%, then I'll definitely hit you up because I got a lot of 90%, a lot of variety right now, some even higher premium pieces. And also, if you're going to your coin show and you got 90%, and or you're looking for 90%, you got that $1,000. I can't really tell you exactly what to get, but the best things, honestly, I'd say spend a decent amount of it on getting some, rolls of some nice, like, Mercury dimes. Because Mercury dime rolls are just, to me, they're just amazing to get. My favorite thing to stack, junk silver is definitely something I like. And, my thoughts on an economic collapse in the next 10 years is that it's possible, but I think I think economic collapse is such a strong term that people throw around a lot. And I really think that people throw it around to scare people. And in truth, I don't see there necessarily being an economic collapse in the next 10 years, maybe an economic depression. But a collapse, I think, is just so extreme because our economy hasn't collapsed since the United States was founded, technically. I mean, you could consider the Great Depression an economic collapse, I suppose. But the United States came back. The government was never completely destroyed. There was never complete anarchy in this country, so I wouldn't consider it a full economic collapse. So, oh yeah, recession, definitely. I think, you know, I think this country's almost in a constant state of recession, really. I mean, not literally. I'm saying that kind of like extreme, but we are definitely, feeling a lot of definitely a lot of effects like a recession type effects, and um, but my favorite thing to stack overall is probably just constitutional silver because it's such a broad thing. Which is better, Bullion or 90%. Hold on, I'll answer that in just a second here. And if you're saying it's broke, do you mean my stream? Like, what, can you just not see anything, or what's going on? Is everyone else good, or is there something seriously wrong with it? But if we are still on here, then to say what my favorite thing to stack is because 90%, because of the fact that I can have junk like this. All right, I don't know if it's a technical issue going on with Cable Guy or if he wasn't even talking about the stream. Oh, okay. It was only for a second. Okay, good. But, I do like the fact that there's junk silver, which can be bought very cheap. I mean, every single silver war nickel I have and 40% Kennedy I've gotten for under melt. The rest of it I gotten for around melt. So I really do like the fact that there's that option, the low premium option, and if you want to get into, the higher premium stuff, then there's coins literally worth millions in the numismatic department. So that's what I just really like, the diversity and just the broadness of 90% silver. Bullion has that same type of thing, but you're never going to find a bullion piece that, will be worth $100,000 and it's like a 1 ounce piece, right? That just doesn't exist for the most part. I mean, maybe there's a very small exception, but the only time you're going to have really expensive bullion is with really large pieces, and that's not something you have to see with coins. So that's why they just really interest me. They have a very fascinating history, so I just really like everything about 90% silver. So that's why it's probably my favorite thing to stack. And so that kind of answers your question too, I think, Coin Searcher. Between bullion or 90%, for me, I'd say 90% just because there's more diversity in it. But I think that they're both essential to any stack being successful. So I'd definitely say, both of them. Especially, you say you have $1,000 to spend, then you definitely are going to be pretty well off. And yeah, 10 ounce. I mean, 10 ounce piece. I assume you mean you bought a 10 ounce bullion piece. A 10 ounce bar is a very nice thing to buy. A couple of 5 ounce bars, whatever it is, it feels very, very nice to buy something like that because it feels like a nice chunk of silver. You're holding, almost $200, and it feels very nice in your hand. Definitely. So, yeah, it definitely does feel nice to have that for sure. And yeah, and junk silver is definitely not for everyone. People that don't like junk silver, are going to be the people that tend to go with the bullion, which is perfectly fine. I mean, really, so junk silver is not completely essential to your stack, I don't think. It's just something you can buy for probably the lowest cost, which is what I really like about it. And 10 1 ounce pieces is probably even better because they're a little bit more liquid than a 10 ounce piece because they can be sold. You can sell 5 of them at once if you wanted to, and you bought them in bulk a little bit. And so definitely that's very nice as well. Yeah, it's true. In the end, unless you're talking about, Sunshine Mint's very nice. Yeah, I love the Sunshine Minting piece, especially their 5 and 10 ounce bars. And yes, I'm going to be making a very large purchase in this price dip that I've been saving up for. So, big unboxing should be coming soon if you guys want to see that. And then to respond now to the other comment where I was going on before, in that junk silver, I just like that you can buy it so cheap. But that's really, it's not I don't think it's necessary. It's just a nice thing to have in your stack. Silver rounds and eagles, depends on what you have more of, I'd say, if you're asking for my opinion on it. And how do you sell and make a profit is, for me, it's pretty simple. I simply go and on Instagram and sell. I don't like to sell on eBay, not because of the fees. It's just I really do feel like that there's a lot of lowball offers on there. I think you're never going to get what you want trying to sell as buy it now unless you sell dirt cheap. I think people always try to offer you lower. So for me, even though Instagram stuff goes cheap, and the community on there is really great for the most part, besides a few scammers. And overall, there's a lot of money to be made from that community because there's a lot of people with really deep pockets. I have a couple of people that want to buy a lot from me. So, yeah. Oh, that's unfortunate, man. You got a fever, but sorry to hear that, and I hope you do get better. Getting into collectibles is a little difficult, but if you're torn between Silver Eagle, let me get a little bit more into that. Honestly, I think it just really depends on what type of stack you want to have. If you really are asking me for my opinion, I really think it's, you have to kind of sit down and ask yourself, do I really want a stack that is more based on bullion, or Oh, I got you, man. Now, okay. But if if you do want a stack that's based more on Bullion, or if you want a stack that's more based towards numismatics, and if you try to mix it up, then just go with both, man. I mean, if you're trying to make a large purchase, the one, then probably just, I mean, if you can afford it, just try to get a decent amount of eagles, because that's always nice. Yeah, I do want to get a Talents Queen's Beast myself. I do need to try to pick one up. It's a very nice piece to have in any stack for sure, numismatic speaking. And what do I think of stocks and bonds? I think long term, I think the stock market is, it's not something I like. Just, I mean, I do have stocks technically, but they're just very stable ones. And the thing I don't like about the stock market is a lot of it is not really backed up by anything, because the stock market is kind of, relying on basically fiat currency, which as a silver stacker, I'm kind of biased against, obviously. So something like the stock market and even bonds is not really based on something that's very tangible. A lot of times it's based on just, how well is this or that doing this today. A lot of it's based on bubbles, and really a lot of it requires timing, which is not something I necessarily like, because it's like one mistake in the stock market and you can lose a lot of money. You can also make a lot of money, of course, but for every dollar you're making, for the most part, someone else is probably losing a dollar, because there's only so much money in the stock market, unless of course it's gaining points and stuff. But I just feel like that something like the stock market's very, very touchy, and also I really just don't think that it has long-term potential like silver does. I think silver is always going to outlast pretty much any other investment there is, besides maybe like real estate. This is another one that's very, very, very old, and I just think that silver is so much more stable that it's a lot much better investment for me personally. eBay is definitely kind of risky when it comes to a lot of fake stuff being sold on there, a lot of dumb stuff being sold on there. A lot of really dumb stuff is sold on eBay. So I definitely need to be careful in there. Silver manipulation has been going on for so long that everyone says, this will be the year that price manipulation breaks on silver, okay? Right? You always hear the silver pumpers, they're always like, this will be the year. We're not going to talk about that scammer. We're not even going to mention his name, because he does not deserve to be talked about. He might be in the stream right now, seeing what people are saying about him. Don't even talk about him. Anyway, but a lot of people are always saying that price manipulation is going to be broken this year. This will be the year. That price manipulation breaks. Silver will be, whatever amount, $50, $60, $100 an ounce every year. Like that one dude, I can't even remember his name, the guy that I made and said that was stupid and trying to scam people, and it was dumb because I cannot even think of his name, but he was basically like saying that silver will break $50 an ounce in 2016 and never even touched half of that. I mean, it was at like the low to mid 20s in 2016 at its best point, and that was because of a little bit of economic turmoil and a lot of things that were going on. That pushed it at its highest. So to say that price manipulation is going to break in the next 10 years is not a statement that I can personally make, because I don't think it's going to happen. I can't necessarily say it's not going to happen, and I think that I feel like that the grip on it's always there, but it's kind of loosened sometimes, and it kind of tightens at other times depending on what's going on, how easy it is to manipulate, and of course, simply, the biggest thing is how much is really being driven into pushing prices up or down. So I don't ever see the manipulation completely breaking unless a complete just economic collapse were to happen. And I think what would happen with that is at first there wouldn't be any manipulation, but I think as soon as like somebody had more silver than somebody else and had more power in silver, all of a sudden manipulation would be right back, because they would start controlling it again with both physical silver. With physical silver would be the biggest thing, is something like that. Right now it's more like silver shares, but in a situation like that, it would be physical silver that would allow you to manipulate prices. I think that what we hear about these, billionaires, well, I mean, J.P. Morgan, the bank, multi-billion-dollar bank it is, we don't really know what they're planning. So I think that a lot of people can say that this or that's going to happen, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's true for one. And for two, that's one entity in silver. And sure, I mean, they own something like 20 something million ounces of silver. So they do very much control it. But at the same time, I don't think that a lot of other people would want to allow that to happen for silver because a lot of people's paychecks really do ride on silver prices being manipulated. I think the government's in on it a little bit, and I think that all the banking's in on it. And the reason I think this, and I've explained it before, is because I believe that politicians and banking gurus were able to sit down and realize that if we can both keep you know silver prices down, it'll help us both out because it'll help out the U.S. economy in saying that when silver prices are lower, not as many people are going to gravitate towards it, and not as many people will be exposed to the weakness of our currency. And the banks like it because they want that currency to be put in their bank. Because if nobody has any trust in the U.S. currency, why would they have any trust in the U.S. In U.S. banking? So they kind of go hand in hand. So I really do think that they help each other out with that, and I just don't see people allowing that to run, even if J.P. Morgan did. So yeah, for I don't even know how many ounces they do have. I never heard it was 500 million ounces, but then again, the reports that are out there on how much silver they have are probably falsified, or at least not quite what they are, today, because a lot of them are older reports. Not everybody's keeping up exactly on the reports of how much silver J.P. Morgan owns, but it's definitely a ridiculous amount of silver for sure that they own. And just overall, though, manipulation is probably something that's always going to exist because even if it were to break a little bit, someone else, some other wealthy individual or entity would be able to see there's a lot of money to be made in manipulating prices of anything, especially with precious metals because it's such an abundant thing, yet not many people understand them. So you can do that, kind of get away with it, at the same time control billions and billions of dollars worth of something. Yeah, it's true. Silver will always hold its value compared to cash, no matter what. It basically helps you to avoid the hidden taxation of inflation, because really it is hidden taxation, because it's basically the government's way of taxing you when you think about it over time, because they're able to, well, not the government, I'm sorry, the Federal Reserve is able to put more currency into circulation over time, which of course helps them out, and it makes it look like the economy is more prosperous if there's more money in it. But really, the amount of money you have, of course, is always going to be worth less, and your purchasing power goes down. But silver is always going to be fighting against that. So if you ever needed to sell for cold hard cash, then you can do that and get more than you would have 10 years ago in silver. And to answer the other question that was from Cable Guy, I do watch Silver Slayer. I watch a lot of the guys on here. I don't always comment, which is kind of my bad, but I definitely do watch him. That's an interesting plan, to wait 10 to 15 years to see what prices do. I do kind of personally want to wait for a bubble. That I don't know. I don't think a bubble is necessarily going to happen, but I do think it's possible, and I kind of want to try to wait for that. And we're getting a lot of comments here, so that is something I kind of want to wait for. And that's true with generic bars. You really don't have to worry about milk spots because even if they were to get on there, it doesn't matter. So, when I say waiting for a bubble, what I'm saying is waiting for, kind of like the last time where silver and gold prices shot up. That was because of a bubble that was around them where a lot of people all of a sudden got very, very interested in silver and gold, and a lot of people began buying it very quickly and pushed the prices up. And that is something I want to wait for, because there is a lot of, yeah, exactly, like when it was $50. Yeah, price is looking good to rise because it's in the low 16s. I don't see it dipping much below 16. I did know this dip was going to happen because before I was talking about my forecast for the prices, I predicted that they weren't going to go much higher back when, probably definitely over a month ago now, when they were doing pretty well this year, when they're at their high point. I knew that they were going to go down just because silver follows a very predictable pattern, which is mainly due to it being manipulated. That it follows swings, which is kind of to make it seem like the price of it's not fixed, but in truth, it is partially fixed. It's just the manipulators allow prices to go up and down. Plus, they can't completely hold them stagnant. So you'll end up seeing silver kind of follow this like wave-like pattern where it just goes up and down very gradually, and you can kind of see where the peaks and dips are going to be. You're not going to make any money off them because we're talking about the difference of a couple of dollars, but it will let you know when to buy at least and when not to buy, when to be saving your money. So when you manage to save up $1,000, you could be talking about the difference of maybe 50 or 60 ounces of silver, maybe even more, depending on how much of how low they are to begin with. So that's definitely something that you want to try to be able to do. But yeah, basically when I say bubble, I mean that's what I'm talking about. It's just waiting for them to shoot up and then selling when they're at their peak. I'm waiting for them to crash back down. So that's cool that you live 10 minutes from a fellow YouTuber. I really don't live close to anybody that I know of. I don't try to be super public about my address anyway, and no one else really does either. Unfortunately, I don't have any port skulls right now, man. If I acquire any, though, I will definitely let you know. But yeah, I don't know of any other silver YouTubers that live anywhere close to me. I'm sure there's others that live like in my state, obviously, but I think I'm definitely the only one in my area, which is fine with me. I mean, I definitely enjoy what I do, whether or not I get to share it with other people in real life, because I definitely get to share with the community a lot. So that's definitely something I appreciate, is all you guys who are here right now watching this, been commenting for almost 43 minutes now on this, despite interruptions, despite any problems that have happened. Yeah, I didn't think you were, man. Because you're not trying to you're not trying to trade with me, so I'm not worried about it. And yeah, it's really cool also now seeing you guys talk about where you're at, because there's such an international audience with silver. That's the great thing about technology. A lot of people will say, technology is ruining our youth and things of that nature, but at the same time, it's allowing our youth, for one, to get into silver. A lot of people who would never have even known about silver, yet also it allows people to share their knowledge. I don't even know what I was trying. What I'm basically trying to say is it allows a lot of people who never have ever gotten experience with silver to experience it, and experienced people to share that knowledge with those new people. I don't live stream super often. I just kind of do it when I want to have just a very general discussion as opposed to making a specific video topic. And that's cool. So yeah, I have to wonder how you figured out that you live close to them. Like, were you guys doing a trade, or what was it? Like, was you guys just like talking about your LCSs and you happen to like have the same one? Because like that would be really cool if like I just happened to be like talking to some dude and I was talking about my LCS. Who um you're saying that Frank lives about an hour away from you? Yeah, I figured someone spilled the beans because a lot of people had his address because he was dumb enough to give his address out to people, which is not something a scammer ever wants to do, I don't think. But I don't even know if that was a real address. He could have been using a friend's address, like maybe having his stuff shipped to a friend's house so that they could protect them. I honestly don't know if it's even true, that address, but I'd have to assume it is, because Frank, he was smart, but he did make mistakes. But I'm not gonna start talking about that again. So yeah, it's cool that you were able to find out, that you happen to live close to him. And you know what, man, I think you said something before, Cable Guy, that you wanted to start making silver videos, and if you do, then contact him. I mean, be like, we live close enough, literally 10 minutes from each other. We should make a video sometime. I mean, because if I had the chance to collab with somebody, I would definitely be jumping on that opportunity personally, because that's something I wanted to do for a very long time. If anyone in the community is ever interested in doing like a collab, like, just like a video collaboration sometime, then definitely let me know. We could figure something out, because I don't think I live close to any of you guys, but, at the same time, I definitely still want to be able to do that. Yeah, I think anyone that's into stacking precious metals, investing in really anything, you don't have to be in front of the camera. Like, I'm never really in front of a camera either. I just film the silver. But yeah, if you are into silver investing or anything of that nature, basically into advancing yourself in society and becoming wealthier, then you know about how fiat currency is a scam, and you especially just understand everything with that, I think, because that's kind of necessary to be a successful stacker, is to understand, why fiat currency is a scam and everything like that. So, anyway, though, overall, to like kind of sum up, if you're just jumping in to what I've said just about my thoughts on silver's future, basically, what's up, Savvy Metals? Appreciate you jumping in for the stream. But basically, to sum up what I think, I don't think anything super huge is going to happen. I think silver will be fluctuating in the next 10 years. I really do think we'll see some changes, but at the same time, I don't think that it's going to be having these huge explosions everyone predicts. And I really don't think that the economy is going to collapse necessarily. I think that we'll continue to experience the effects of a recession and things in that realm, but I definitely don't see what a lot of other people will see in this community, because a lot of the people in this community, unfortunately, are silver pumpers, which is something I will have to talk about in the near future. But I appreciate everyone who tuned in for this stream, because, let's face it, I mean, hearing me talk for 48 minutes definitely must not be the most pleasant thing. But in all truth, I do appreciate it, despite all the interruptions and everything, everyone jumping in. And Caleb Guy, I will make a video actually on that, on how to start a YouTube channel, if you would like to see that, or I could talk to you personally as well, of course. And anyone who's ever interested in a collaboration or anything like that, let me know, because I'm looking to definitely have a video with somebody else in this community, because I've never collabed with anybody else. I've talked to a lot of people, but that's about it. So in any event, hope you enjoyed this, and that is it for this one. Peace, love, and much respect.